now. Buy more, save more, up to 30% off, or get low monthly payments with no interest financing for 72 months. Spend less and get more, only at Ashley.
So a few weeks ago on 3+U, we had the great privilege, we felt, of bringing you a show called Aging Well, focusing on what it's like to get older and how to do it to optimum results. And Nancy Cogar, who is an elder law attorney here in town, was a huge part of helping us bring that show to the air. So thank you for that.
Oh, I enjoyed it. Thank you. I mean, I got great feedback from the community. People were listening, people were taking notes, and they're taking action.
Well, it's a lot more complicated, and the net is cast a lot farther, I think, than people think. So when you mentioned that you're an elder law attorney, that means if you're currently in those retirement years, come talk to her. But we hope to all get there.
Right.
So you want to be thinking and planning ahead. That's a big part of what you preach, I think, is being prepared.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you're, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was just going to say, and so many people, if you're out there and you're not prepared, you're not alone, because about 70% of people are not.
So your focus today, you wanted to talk about if you are going to be moving into a senior living community, kind of things to be mindful of before you go, is that right?
Yeah, that's a piece of it. And we're talking on Boomer Time, the podcast this week, about what you say, what you need to know before you say yes to caregiving.
Okay.
So there's about, 1 in 5 people right now are in some kind of role as an unpaid caregiver, whether it's full-time, you quit your job to take care of your parents, you're working and doing that at the same time, or, it's just you're juggling to try to keep everything together and do that. So that's stressful just on its own. But I want to make sure that you have the conversation with your parents about what's this road going to look like right now and later.
So when you're saying what you need to know before you say yes to caregiving, are you talking about the adult child who might be stepping into that role?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because 53 million people in America are in that position right now. I mean, this is, I talk about the silver tsunami, not to be dramatic, but it is dramatic.
Well, and I think tsunami is a very fair word, because a tsunami, you don't really see it coming.
Right.
And so I'm kind of walking this experience as part of the reason we did the Aging Well show.
Yeah, I know.
My brothers and I got together just the other week to kind of talk about our mom. She's doing great, but what we all recognize is that we're taking it kind of on a month by month, be prepared for what may evolve basis.
So, say you're hiking up a mountain, right? You bring certain tools with you when you're down at the bottom. You don't know what you're going to face as you get up towards the top. It's the same kind of thing. Make sure you have that toolkit when you start. You may know that the trail is rocky in these areas. You may think there's some plateaus there that you can regrip and gain some self-care rest, but it's going to be long and it's going to be hard.
So none of us has a crystal ball.
No.
So let's take a couple of different scenarios, okay? And as we talk, the thing for you to know is that Nancy's practice is there to kind of be part implementer and also part kind of guider for people.
Advocate and attorney. So everybody's different. We come in, we have a strategy session. We talk about what you're concerned about, what's coming up, what you don't have, what you do have, and try to put all those pieces together.
So if there's a family watching, and let's say it's an only child, and both parents are still living and they're in their mid-80s, and one of them is beginning to have some health issues, but they want to stay living at home. And maybe it's a situation where she's divorced and thinks, okay, I'll just move in with you. That happens?
Oh, all the time.
So things to think about and talk about would include?
Well, I think you need to think about the parents' assets, how they're held right now, what's there available to help with keeping them at home. Can you do things to the house that will help to make it more accessible? Is it something where you're moving in and you want to be full-time caregiver? There's opportunities now. I mentioned 53 million Americans are not paid for this, but they're slowly beginning to be opportunities to get paid or compensated. But you have to do that here, not here. That's a huge thing for me. I want you to have the strategies in place to stay at home. I don't want you in a nursing home. I had a client yesterday who said they were trying to find a nursing home space in Hickson. for their parent. There's a 1-year waiting list.
Wow.
At that facility.
So, okay, let's say it's a sibling relationship. This is going to go by way too fast. We're not going to have nearly enough time. Let's say it's a sibling relationship, and one sibling is in a position to say, hey, mom and dad can come live with me, and I'll take care of them. That's great, and that's probably very altruistic. However, wear and tear will occur. There's going to be a monetary output.
Exactly.
You need to make that a consideration.
Exactly. Everybody needs to be on the same page. I mean, that's the biggest problem most of the time. They're not. And then you add money to the mix, and that's just a recipe for disaster. So I'm trying to avoid that by having something in writing in place that spells out what you want, when you want it, and what are you authorizing that person to do?
You have a minute left. You do the whole thing. I mean, if you can imagine estate planning, she's going to help you with it. Life is going to bring changes. So do you like to stay connected with your client? And that way, if you hear of a life change and they're not realizing that it means they should change something with their estate planning, you can do the thinking for them?
Well, I'm sure my clients, if they're watching, can attest to this. One of the things I say when we finish any project is, I want to know if something happens, tell me. Is there something we can do about it now? If you don't tell me, I can't do anything about it. So I'd rather know.
It's not really a fun conversation because all of us somehow think that we're not going to have this happen in our lives, but it's going to get there, and you do want to be prepared when that day comes.
I have a strange sense of humor because I'm talking about death, dying, and what to do with your stuff after you're gone.
But you can listen to her podcast besides finding her here on 3+U. It's great. It's called Boomer Time with Nancy Cogar. You can also call her 596-7220. She's so relatable, and she makes it not complicated at all. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Jeff Wilson. I'm an energy efficiency expert. And if you've been living with a cold, drafty home with high energy bills,